simple as this. Oh shit. That's how I left after I
Yeah, that's great when somebody has a passion and they can understand it and share that with you. So that's good. That's good. I'm sure he's got some YouTube videos we can all watch and tune into those. So, um, yeah, I'm grateful for you inspiring us on that, and we all deserve to go check him out. So I guess I'll get started. It's about 7:04, 7:05 my time, and for those who are joining us for the first time or the 10th time, we're doing a course following the book, Working with the Laws. I'm using this version, and this book is amazing. It's very simple. It's a quick, easy read, and it really becomes quite a Bible. Mine's dog-eared and written everywhere. There's notes and highlights, which when we read a book in this book club, we truly take everything and we understand it, we discuss it, we apply it, and we are finding that our lives are immeasurably just expanding in so many ways. So the chapter that we're doing tonight, which is May 2nd, 2016, is called The Law of Sacrifice. It's chapter 10, Law of Sacrifice. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when I think sacrifice, I personally think I have to give up something I don't want to give up.
Yeah.
How many of you honestly feel that way?
I feel, yeah. Well,
right? You go right to thinking it's something you don't want to give up.
Yeah, not so much yes and no. Yes, giving up, but then also giving up that you have to give up, but then you still have to sacrifice for a certain time for whatever your reason is. So it could be both, in my opinion, meaning you don't want to, but then if you do, it's going to be more abundance and wealth and any, not materially speaking, but also spiritually, I guess, or happiness or joy. But also that you want to give up, but for whatever reason that you have very high personally, it's still not the moment, but the sacrifice of having to wait.
So now, when you were young and coming along, you weren't aware of the spiritual laws, and you're speaking from a place of wisdom right now. You're speaking from, we know that if we do this, we're going to get that. But let's go all the way back, because I found this kind of an interesting journey. Maybe there's something early on in your life, a certain discipline that a parent had you do that was a sacrifice. Do any of you recall one of your earliest sacrifices that you had to make, and what was that?
Oh, yes.
As a child, something your parents made you do or instilled in you that still either haunts you or created the person that you are, or both?
That's an awesome question that you asked, because, okay, as a U.S. citizen, my mom knew that we had to be in the States because we are U.S. citizens, but then she is from Mexico. We always lived in Mexico as a child. My grandparents always lived in the States. It's a border town where I'm from. So the sacrifice that my mother did and made us do as children was to stay with my grandma and grandpa, which honestly I don't have the bond with them, lovingly speaking. So that was like taking a lollipop, precious lollipop, was given to you. So I had to sacrifice the love and the freedom of my parents that I had in my home, and coming into a cold home in order to have the education in English. And because my mom did that and we agreed, I mean, of course we didn't have no choice, right? But still she explained why she was doing what she was doing, and I understood. And that's why I'm here speaking to you and everything that I have done in my life, and also what I'm teaching to my son. So that was I never thought about it now that you asked. That was a huge sacrifice on my mom and on us emotionally.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm sure, Angela, do you have something you remember early on that maybe you didn't want to do that your parents had you sacrificed or something they sacrificed for you?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. Don't know where to start.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was born in Mexico City, so my mom had to sacrifice her marriage for the betterment of her children. So that was it.
Wow.
Um, yeah, other was an alcoholic, so she had to either be a single mother or raise her children under that environment. And now that I'm an adult, I understand what that sacrifice means, because I mean, it's not easy to leave a comfort, money wise and all this stuff, just to be single and raise your kids all by yourself without family or anything around you.
That is huge. And I love the stories because I've never been a mother, and unless, Jesus decides I'm suitable for the next Virgin Mary potential, which that could happen. I don't plan to be one.
Always possibilities on everything. That's true.
But what is interesting about sacrifice is how many mothers would sacrifice their lives. They would sacrifice time. They would sacrifice so many things for their children. And that's a beautiful story of thinking about what your moms did and how you can look back at that. And when you think of sacrifice, that your heart just melts. You're like, oh, what a beautiful, beautiful law. And for me, when I first was thinking about sacrifice, I was like, oh, what do I have to give up? What do I have to give up to be healthy? What do I have to give up to have wealth? And then what I started thinking about was early on in my childhood. Well, why is it that I'm even where I am and I'm successful? And that's because my parents had us as children sacrifice some things that we weren't too keen on. For example, when we got off the school bus and we were bused a long ways, we were country kids and we'd go to school and bust all the way back. So it's a long day. When you're on the bus at 6:30 in the morning and you're not getting home until 4 o'clock and you're a little kid, what's every kid want to do? Go out and play. But we couldn't, because she also knew that by the time we went out and played and then it was getting dark and it was time to eat and then it was the time to, you got to do, like, no, she wanted us to get off the bus fresh from school, get your homework out of the way, eat. And then if we wanted some downtime, we could have some downtime. But if we did want to go out and play, it was very brief. Like, my mom kept us on some discipline regimen, which I was not happy about as a small child. She made me read every night when I didn't want to read. But the only way I could stay up was if I read. So she was constantly coming up with ways to keep us. And then when she had us take piano lessons, it was like, hey, you're going to take piano lessons. So I would sacrifice Friday afternoon. Well, it's another time when people get out of school on Friday as a kid. Do you want to go take piano lessons from a 89-year-old woman that's spitting on your hands and slapping your wrist with a ruler? I'm like, oh my God. And her breath smelled like sausage. Seriously? But I loved her, Miss Lupton. God bless her. And so, she taught us that, and because of that, then I became a very good pianist, and she taught us the discipline and the sacrifice of time and playtime and all the time I was wasting as a child so that I could practice piano because I had a recital coming up. And so probably for me, I look back now and I'm grateful for it, but initially sacrifice to me means, no, I'm not ready to give up something. So
you are listening to you. It's kind of it's like you're junior to me talking to me.
Yes.
No, I mean, literally everything that you said, that's exactly how he feels when I say, do your homework first, eat, and then you can have the rest of the afternoon, for yourself. Also, you have him. I have him in piano lessons. His teacher is not as strict as other teachers, so all he wants to do is play, and I am trying my best way to teach him and make him understand in a way through the universal laws how to appreciate things versus the way you or myself learn as a child, why we were doing or sacrificing the way we were sacrificing.
Well, and I like that because a lot of times back in the 40s, 30s, the 20s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, a lot of things have changed as far as how we discipline our children, and I see it, and we are moving into a space where we allow the child to be a participant in choices. And the choices, if structured appropriately, are beautiful because they can choose to have this consequence or this one. And when the consequences and the behavior are matched appropriately, where they choose the less desirable choice and consequence, then that has to be enforced because they chose it, and because the laws do that to us naturally. And that's what I loved about this book, because this book made it pretty clear that these are laws, so whether we believe them or not is irrelevant. They are spiritual laws. The planetary, the galaxy, the Big Bang, everything, any part of life is a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice. Cells die every day, so new ones can be born.
Right.
People have lost their lives and sacrificed their lives so that I can have freedom. And there's a beauty to it, that when you clear the way for one thing, it allows something new to come in. And so I really appreciated this law, because it started to help me realize this chapter for me could not have come at a better time, because on page 146, and we talk about Abraham Lincoln and how Lincoln's mother gave him this very important lesson early on, and it always stayed with him. And that is, the sacrifice really is about discipline. And so his mother taught him that the beginning of wisdom is not imposed by discipline, but the beginning of wisdom is first the desire for discipline, the love of it, the voluntary choice of it. And so going back to me growing up, it was imposed upon me. I had to do these things. And so that little rebellious part of me wanted to say, well, I only have to do these things till I'm 18, or until I'm this, or until I'm that, and then I'm not going to do them anymore. So a majority of my life I've been spending it in a very undisciplined way, believe it or not, despite my success. I've been very undisciplined. And in some way, I would do these burst of discipline and get caught up. That's called procrastination. That's that burst of discipline. Okay, now I'm done. I got that achieved. So now I'm really starting to understand with this law how it defines kind of my profile, my character, and now what I can do to change that. So this was a bigger chapter for me than I really thought it was going to be. I'm like, wow, I just got a whole new insight, because I'm sitting around looking at my office. I've been gone. I've been traveling. I've got stacks here, stacks there. It looks pretty from this view, but if I were to turn this thing around and show you what's on my table and what's upstairs, which I won't even go into anymore, which is called my office. Are you kidding me? I so deserve some discipline, which is sacrifice of something that I'm thinking is so important. What is it? It's not. There's nothing more important than me to go clear the space and clear room for something amazing to come in. And Cindy, I know you have some comments on that.
Well, I'm totally with you on discipline and everything. I mean, I've been living in a very emotional life, and the laws have really taught me tremendously where is the emotion and why it's the emotion, and focusing more on the lack versus let me clear this so I can help more myself and others. So as you said about clearing your office, I actually did amazing with this one now. It's not as bad as it used to. Everything all over. It's only from huge piles of stuff. It's only like 2 that I have, and 1 room that I have upstairs that I'm working on. And like you said, I thought sacrifice was to really take something away from you. And when I was a little confused when I read the chapter, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't understand until towards the end, the importance of the time that you give, to those desires that you have in life, is the actual sacrifice, the discipline of you focusing on it and guiding yourself to it. And as you didn't understand it, I'm like, well, I'm doing this to be faithful by them, versus just oh yeah, I read it and I know about it and you can do this, versus I come from experience, I applied it, I live by it, and this is some of the amazing experiences I had in life. So I mean, I had so many amazing ones, I'm not going to say, but if I were to apply myself 100%, kind of like Dave MacArthur, the way he explains, the way he shares his experience with the laws, how he applies them and how he focused, oh my God, the whole world, we wouldn't be in this dimension, for example. We were already in, I don't know what dimension. I understand now the law is the discipline. It's for you to be able to keep moving forward and seeing the vision of not only for you, but then I also see it as, if I think the way I think and I feel the way I feel, how is going to impact you in a good way, in a harmonious way, where if I'm being inspired, you can be inspired to help even more people in any way, in whatever way. That will be also a sacrifice in the discipline to start in the beginning. And the other thing that reminds me is of as Dave MacArthur always talks, keep your mind home, your focus, guard your focus with your life, which that means that no matter where you're at or how you're feeling, whatever it is that you're going through, and that is a huge challenge because we're human beings, you are to still be living the wish fulfill, whatever it is that your wish is. But then it is a discipline. Sacrifice.
It really is. It really is. There's a point where we have to stop and take an assessment of everything that we're doing, why we're doing what we're doing it, and what is it we want to achieve out of it. And how does that now match up with our dreams, our vision, and our goals? And that discipline I'm finding is the difference between those who aren't taking that high road of discipline, which leads to everything that makes life worth living, versus those who are. So if you could be charming, beautiful, the most perfect ambassador of your company, your product, whatever it is, but if you're not disciplined and putting in that time, that energy, you've got to give up something, because most of us use all of our time all day long for something, even if it's to waste it, but we're wasting it. And I found that was probably, for me, one of the biggest things. I know I just posted something a few minutes ago on my page, and I said, the law of sacrifice, and how grateful I am that my parents had taught me this early on, because it really clearly explains why people are stuck in their current conditions. Although they'd like to be healthier, wealthier, more successful. But here's why this happens. It's because they unconsciously know that they're not willing to sacrifice what they currently have, whatever that is, so that they can receive something new. And I represent a health and wellness company, Isogenics, and as you guys do too. And we always wonder, what's preventing you from starting today? What's preventing you from starting today? And you could look at all the science links, all the research, thousands, tens of thousands of transformation stories, all of them different, all of them unique in their own way, and how everybody's having the same results pretty much, whether it's increased energy, mental clarity, to gain muscle, to be leaner, to lose weight, to help the body resolve issues that no longer require drugs, those kind of things. So who doesn't want that? Like, doesn't everybody want that? Of course they do. They want to be healthy, but they're not willing to sacrifice something.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, well, what is it that you're not willing to sacrifice? Because therein lies the heart of it. And so then it's okay, so I can understand you don't want to sacrifice, you like to drink. You like to drink wine. Okay? All right, so let's talk about that. How much wine are you drinking? And how much in your mind do you feel you'd have to sacrifice to be healthy? And so now you're pinpointing it down to maybe there's a more serious issue going on.
Yes.
Okay, maybe it's because they don't want to sacrifice the money. But then when you pinpoint it down, like, I think that word sacrifice is good because most people are hiding behind something because they don't want to sacrifice something. It could be just pure laziness. I know there's been times I've just been lazy. Well, I don't want to do this because I just, I'm kind of lazy.
Yeah.
I don't have to do it. I don't have to do it for the money. And I could get by with how I look with my health and feel. I'm in perfect health. I didn't have to do this health and wellness.
Yeah, true.
So what made me do that? What made me want to sacrifice? Well, for me, it wasn't a sacrifice. There's certain things in this that did not become a sacrifice. I didn't mind giving up excess glasses of wine that deep in my psyche and my being in my subconscious, that I didn't need 3 glasses of wine a night or whatever I was drinking. It just wasn't serving me. And so there's a part of you that doesn't want to face reality. It could be, well, the sacrifice of the money, well, that was all lies in my head because I was already sacrificing money anyway. So what ultimately starts to happen is that when we, it really is why we have all this anger, depression, and blaming in the world. And it's just so pointless. It doesn't help anyone. It just reinforces that you're not ready to sacrifice what it takes for you to change your life. Period. And it's so much easier, isn't it, to just blame somebody else for your misfortune and, well, you can do this, but I don't have that ability. Well, that's crazy. Wouldn't you have the same ability and skill set I have if you sacrificed some time and did the studying I did? Would you not be on fire about this if you knew what I knew? If you sacrificed your family vacation because you were going to go to an event that's going to change your family's life, instead of missing one vacation, you may be giving them an opportunity to have vacations the rest of their life every day. So, it's just easier to blame others than decide to accept the fact that it's going to require some time and effort to change. So, I ask people, what are you sacrificing? What have you sacrificed? And for me, I was looking at that and I'm like, well, really all that I've sacrificed is what wasn't serving me anyway. Isn't that interesting? Why am I holding on to something that wasn't giving me results that I was seeking and desiring in my life anyway? Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, always. It's that old paradigm most of the time that keeps you where you're at. Even though you know better, even though your heart, if you want to say your heart, for me, it's my higher self. Insane, it's time to action, for example, or do this or do that, but then the old paradigm or the crazy monkey starts coming in and wants to keep you there, and I understand even better now when it comes to the discipline. That going to fulfill that it is that you're desiring in your life. And most of the time also, those that do not want to sacrifice, right, to get that ultimate desire, it's also the fear. It's bigger than everything else. So it's very interesting. I mean, the law of sacrifice is more than what I thought it was.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's just been a great day. I went back and I reviewed this chapter. I'd read it, you know, a while back, maybe a year ago, or 2 years ago, and I saw it completely differently this time. I'm like, how beautiful is that? Because I look back, I'm like, what was it that I actually gave up? And then when I think about it, it was bad eating habits, drinking too much, TV, just brain dead to Real Housewives of this and that, which is fine. I still love the show, but I just don't watch it anymore. I don't watch, all the late night stuff I was addicted to, and the different series I was watching, and I just don't get caught up in it anymore. So, for the most part, my TV's been turned off. I mean, I rarely turn it on. And then I let go of relationships and friendships that were really time consuming, but I could see they did not want to instill some of the discipline in their life that I knew I was being called to do. And I'm too much a chameleon. I try to go along with the crowd and do what the crowd's doing. Hey, everybody's getting together and going to go do this tonight. Come downtown. You want to have a drink? Sure. I mean, I was just going. And really, so many of the circle of folks I was hanging with, their lives weren't really going anywhere either. And I'm like, this is no longer serving me. And so I still love them, but I just had to start changing my behavior. And that's when I kind of sacrificed that social time, and then just time, period. I mean, I waste a lot of time, and I still do waste a lot of time, and I can't wait to start back into the discipline of monitoring my focus, my time, seeing what other things I can sacrifice. Like, I've had this big yearning to clean out my house. Like, my house I've only been in it 8 years, but suddenly I'm looking around and I want to just go in my closet and give everything away. Like, I just want to take it, because it's stuff I've been dragging around with me 20 years. Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, there's clothes in there from 10 years ago, 15 years ago that I don't even wear anymore. Why am I holding on to something with some darn elastic in the back of the pants and some pleats? And I'm like, what? Who is even wearing pleated pants anymore? Maybe it's back in style, came and went, and I missed it again because I still, it's time for me to clear and sacrifice some things just to allow new stuff to come in. So,
when you talked about the sacrifice of friendships because they just don't longer serve you in one way or the other, and not just only you, for them as well, even though they don't know that it's not serving them, because of course not everybody is living the laws or applying the laws or know about them. So I also have sacrifice relationships in a way, but the good thing about it, when you tap into your feeling, into your inner self, I don't feel guilty, or I don't feel uncomfortable, or I don't feel unhappy. I feel content. I feel like it was time, and it's all good, and it's okay to send blessings and love and let go, because it's time to keep moving. There's huge other parts that I know I got to let go, but it's still a lot to work on. I know I have to let go. I know I have to move on. It's just being, I guess, careful not to hurt somebody else. In other words, if that makes sense. And I understand that the universe will work with you one way or the other. It will just go on its own course, each individual, for the good, not for the worst. I don't believe in that anymore, because there's never the worst. I understand now it's always for the good of both parties, or 3 or 4, whatever it might be. But the sacrifice and the discipline to understand the emotion with it is very peaceful. It's a lot stressful, and
the reward is so much greater. than what we ever thought we were giving up.
Yes, exactly. And the fact that you are talking about clearing up your house, it's funny because I've been doing that little by little. I've been actually throwing stuff away, giving stuff away that I've been moving around with for the longest time. I mean, every time we move, there it goes again, there it comes again. And I'm like, it's time. I mean, it was a little bit of a challenge at first because of that old paradigm, how your parents, raise you that, well, what if you need it? What if, or what about the history, because also the culture itself, you want to keep something because then we're going to lose the history of that, for example. But then when you are able to let go with ease and peace, it's heaven, I guess you want to call it that way, meaning it's happy.
I can't wait. I keep saying I'm getting ready to get in that closet, and I go in there and I'm like, oh my God, this is like a month's project right here. So I'm to the point. I did the other night go through my cabinets and I just threw away stuff, And my friend was like, where are you throwing that away? That's a good brush. That's a whole bottle of lotion. Where are you talking? I'm like, it's been in there for a year. It's been sitting in that plastic bottle for a year. I don't want to put that on my skin. I obviously am not going to use it. I bought all this new stuff over here. I've got, so many brushes. She goes, well, I'll take that brush. And I'm like, you want that brush? It's got my dead skin cells all in it. It's nasty. Or seriously? She goes, yeah, you're right. She goes, throw it away. So we were having fun. And I'm like, I'm getting ready to chunk some stuff, but I almost don't even want to give it to Goodwill. I'm like, there ain't too much good left in it. I think I've milked every good out of it, but I'm just so ready for that because, even like we train animals with discipline, right? Like how many videos have you seen with a dog and they put the treat right there on the nose and we're like,
yeah, they don't move. They don't move whatsoever. That's so true.
Discipline. A darn dog. Okay. And then we discipline nature. We dam a whole river so we can create a lake. And truly though, for us, the way that we're to attain our ambitions is to discipline our mental force, discipline our thinking. We just don't wake up one day going, oh, I'm just going to go be, do all this discipline. It truly is little baby steps, just doing one little thing, I believe. And from that, you just said that. You said, what'd you say? It's heaven. You feel good. You feel good. Like it feels good if you just use that discipline to sacrifice that little bit of time before you go to bed to clean your kitchen up so that when you start your next day, you're not walking into a bunch of dirty pots and pans and dishes and you're just setting your whole day up for stress.
Right. Yeah, that's so true.
I don't know if you guys wash your dishes before you go to bed and you clean up your kitchen, but for me, girl, I can't go to bed until that kitchen's clean.
Yeah, I'm the same. There's times
another amazing discipline that my mom gave me.
The weekends I might give myself a break, but once comes Sunday night, that kitchen is clean all the way to oven and everything. And it's so true because there's times that you're so tired, like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. When you get out, you're like, oh, why didn't I just clean it last night?
Because it'll tend to add up. And then now it's more than one day a week that you do it. It's now not just Sunday, but now you're starting to get into a habit. And there's certain things that I do, like I clean my kitchen and I make my bed. If I don't make my bed, I'm sorry. Life has to stop until I go make my bed. I get out of bed. I could be having a heart attack. I got to pee like a racehorse. It ain't happening. I'm making my bed first. If you're in my bed, get up because my bed's getting made. Otherwise, you are about to get tucked in under a pillow because I cannot start my day. I get up, I turn around, and I make my bed. And
I require that discipline because I do and I don't.
That's one area I'm good. There's one area I'm good, but there's some areas I am not so good in, and they're like sitting right here on this table. Oh, girl, it's all around me. You see that? I'm like, yep, I got some stuff to go through. And what's bad is when I travel and I come back and I've got all these receipts and stuff, and I really desire to do an expense report. I said desire.
Yep.
That's a lie. I desire to do an expense report. But But why is that? Because what I'm going to get out of that, the discipline, first of all, of getting it done, that feels so good, so proud. I freed up. See what happened? I took a few minutes to free up a whole mental mindset that's got me bogged down to think that I can't do stuff because I got so much stuff to do because I'm not getting it done. And that's all a lie.
Yep.
It's all a lie.
Yeah, that's true. Once I was going
Sorry,
to
my muscles just look good. I went to the gym.
awesome. They look great. I was just gonna say that it's liberating.
Discipline.
Yeah, it's liberating when you actually once you tackle that task that you've been wanting to, like you're saying your table, because like I said, I did it. I got a few here things in there, and it's so, I guess it's not funny, but it took me a year and I don't know how many months, really, honestly, a year. And
Nothing wrong with that. You got it done.
Exactly, but it's like, where did I spend the time here and there and there and there? And it's all that thinking of the stuff that you don't desire, even though you're on this journey, it just requires discipline. There's nothing around it. This is an amazing law, not necessarily so much of the sacrifice of what you're giving up, it's the discipline in the journey during that discipline. That's how I see it. It's the journey of the because okay, it's like when, for example, when you graduate, you go through all that journey, all that, and once you're there, nobody asks you, right, what you had to go through emotionally and everything, or the discipline together. You're just there, and people think that it was a sacrifice. The fact, like you say, you didn't spend time here with your children or with your spouse or with your friends or anything, but then finally you're there. So it is still discipline. It's not necessarily that you're going to be miserable because you took this out in order to get this. It's mainly that it's no longer good for you anymore. And most likely I see it now as that lesson has been learned. You're good to go. You're good to continue going. And other sacrifices are going to bring, because those goals are going to be higher versus.
Yeah, and I think it's important too. The book didn't talk about this a whole lot, but you know, how many people have you heard, well, I sacrificed my time, I did this, my money, and I did all this stuff for somebody else, and I didn't get back.
Yes. Right.
So I believe those are two different things. I believe that's not truly the law of sacrifice. That wasn't about discipline of you personally clearing something or doing something to allow something great for you. That was a law of expecting something in return for giving. So that was a different law, and they weren't abiding by that. You know, the law, all these laws are so overlapping, like the law of receiving. But that really is, more about the law of giving. And that was covered, I'm trying to look at what chapter. There's
the law of receiving, I think it was chapter 7.
I know chapter 5 was the law of receiving. And chapter 4 was the law of attraction. Then, of course, the law of supply.
Yeah.
So a lot of those overlap. But,
they're like a sub law of one or the other. It's very interesting how the laws work.
They do. They all beautifully just dance together in perfect harmony. And I also love on page 151 where they were given examples, even in just everyday life, that people aren't thinking about. And so, if somebody is single, remember it talked about that if you're single and, you're lonely and you're looking for a partner, there is a sacrifice to be made when you meet that person. You're going to sacrifice your time that has been all yours. Now you've got to make room for this other person. You're going to sacrifice decisions that maybe you would have chosen to go to a Mexican restaurant and they want sushi and you hate sushi, but you can't go eat Mexican every time. So you're going to be, constantly kind of moving into a state of sacrifice. And the biggest sacrifice of all you're going to be making is you're no longer single.
Exactly.
You're just not free to go do whatever you want to do necessarily unless you have that agreement and it all works well within your agreements of your relationship. So, and then they talked about, if you're married and you're married, you have children, but you want to live a loose life.
Yeah.
You want to have your cake and eat it too. Well, that's fine, but you're going to sacrifice your family and your children for that loose life. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that people who make sacrifices every day for things they don't want, they might have thought they wanted a loose life. They might have thought infidelity sounded like a fun thing that they just had an adrenaline rush on, and they got addicted to that feeling where they came back home to their family, and that wasn't what they wanted anymore. They might have thought that. Then years later, after their families dissolved and their children aren't speaking to them and relationships are strained or whatever, they now have paid one of the biggest sacrifices of all for something they did not want. So it goes both ways. Sacrifice, we have to be very cautious with what we're sacrificing, good or bad.
Yeah, no, we do. It's true.
That just hit me. I hadn't planned to even go there or talk about that.
It's true because sometimes you believe you're doing good, sacrificing one thing or the other for the family, for example, and you're not necessarily blessing, I guess, the environment and the family because of that sacrifice. Because what if, either or they're just not happy, whatever, and the environment, it's not healthy, it's not happiness, it's just there with all this, trapped emotion. And so, yeah, you got to be careful what it is that you're sacrificing and how it is. And as you said at the beginning, it's good to sit down with yourself and write down why it is that you're sacrificing and what's the intent of that sacrifice, for example.
Yeah, I think it ultimately comes to being clear. Isn't it great how this always goes back to clarity, being perfectly and concisely clear on what it is you want?
Right.
And that when you start with why and you start with knowing what it is you want, then making a list of everything that's holding you back in your mind, what those things are. If it's money, if it's time, if it's you don't want to give up this or that, and make all the reasons why you're not moving forward.
Right.
And come up with all the reasons why, if you could overcome those, what would you be getting for that thing you want? I haven't even done that, but I deserve to do that. Maybe that's a good exercise we all should do. Maybe I should do that and get my paperwork caught up.
I think it's been coming up. I think since we had the Zoom meeting with David Gikondi, that was one of the advice that he actually gave to myself and everyone.
You mean else. I could have written a book and been famous like David Gikondi, even though I wasn't on that last part of the Zoom? Yeah. I love it when great minds think alike.
Right? And it's a good thing to write it down.
Well, I deserve to do that.
That's a great exercise because then.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for putting that out. I do deserve to go back and finish that because I was, in St. George and just got back home on Thursday and catching up. And so this is going to be, that week for me, and I look forward to that. So cool, because I'm definitely going to make a list of what's stopping me from cleaning this table tonight. Would anybody like to hold me accountable?
I will, because that will help me as well.
How much time are you going to give me?
Oh, I mean,
a year?
if that's what's going to take, that's what.
I cannot afford a year because guess what? There's that flip side that if I don't sacrifice a few minutes now, then what I'm sacrificing for not doing it is so much greater, and that is the bottom line.
Well, one thing that I have been doing that it's been helping in a way, it's that I've been doing either 1 up to 3 non-negotiables in that moment. So for example, my desires were to organize this office, and then it's going to be my meditation room plus, business and personal, but not negotiable, at least one or two. And then at the end, I would say yes or no, whomever that was my accountability at that time, which right now I don't have any. I do not desire explanation as to why you didn't or why you did. Why you did, yes, because it's positive, but then why you didn't, it's like rephrasing the energy of the negative as to
Right.
why.
It's pointless to do.
Right. So either yes or no, and if it's a yes, let's celebrate. If no, ask yourself why not, like to yourself, and then take it over the next day. And then one pile, honestly, I mean, sometimes it takes me like 2 or 3 pieces of paper that are on the floor and they're gone, so it feels a little bit better. That's what I've been doing. It took me a year, like I said,
Yeah.
to apply it, but giving myself 1 or 2 non-negotiables, it's a lot better than having, because I went that route where I said yes to everything, and before I knew it, I had so much going on that I was like, I was not working. Even it was the awesome of the awesome, the best of excitements of everything, personal growth, everything. It was not working because I didn't have the time to do all of it. So now it comes to one, has come to, out of like 10 things, has come to 3 things where I'm able to focus on that liberation of being able to focus and work with more ease versus thinking I got all this around me. And then more personal growth. So I don't know if that will help you, 1 or 2 non-negotiables.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I love too where it says on 151, it says, hey, if you don't do it, the law will determine it for you.
Yes.
That is true. And that's called that Groundhog Day every day. It's like, and it gets worse. I mean, it gets worse. It adds on and piles on. And I mean, really, freedom is within that little bit of discipline, because you know what you have to do. I know what I have to do. Everything I need to know, all the answers are already inside of me.
Yep.
And I just will keep myself in a state of discord, in a state of being out of alignment, because it doesn't feel good. In fact, it says on page 152, an undisciplined life is an insane life. It's
It
an
is.
insane life.
It is. I'm gonna go back to my squirrel moments that I
I
have.
can relate.
And it's not funny, but then, yeah, it is better when it's, everything, it's a lesson, and it's good that it's happening, because nothing it's a failure, nothing it's bad, and you know the answers. And of course you require that motivation of other people around you who have what you are desiring or you're inspired of from them. It's amazing to have that around you. At the end, you do have the answers for yourself. I'm working of being perfect, for example, but the beauty of the lesson, for example, personally speaking, the beauty of that I learned is ultimately everything gets in the now, and the waste of energy and the waste of time just because I focus on that was not working. And one of them, it's the discipline. And it might be the rebel in you because you don't like to be told what to do. Like you said, your mom made you do it this way. For example, you're like, no. So you did your life for a long time like that. And myself, it was more about the freedom, for example. So it's been a beautiful lesson. And the fact that you're able to do it, and it's okay to let go, even if it's a paper. It's been there for 20 years.
Well, and that's what I'm learning. That's what I learned early on, was that, like, for example, the way that I reached the status where I am, even in my business, is I let a lot of stuff go. So I sacrificed things, cleaning and worrying about paperwork and all of that, because I was so focused on what I wanted in my network marketing business, and I got it. But there was a sacrifice. So now that's starting to because the law, no matter what, the law is going to work. So when you give up something to receive something, that I gave up, which was time towards this paperwork, now this paperwork is added up. So now I deserve to apply the law of sacrifice and sacrifice something else, some time here or there that I'm sure I can carve out. It's easy to do, and just get this knocked out. So I really love this law. I really do. I just thought, oh, great, law of sacrifice. This is going to be a short call. Who wants to sacrifice? But man, it's just been probably one of my favorite chapters. And then I like too, have you noticed that, let's just take disorganization. Have you noticed that when you're disorganized, you attract people who are disorganized? So those all start to go together. The law of attraction, the law of, sacrifice, discipline. And it's funny because I've got a couple of people now I'm working with, and guess what their number one issue is? Organization.
Yeah. Yes. And, yeah. And it's funny because I learned, like, I focus. The lack of focus, that's the kind of people I've been attracting. Yes to everything. Yes. But then I don't know if I can. Oh, I'm doing this. Or yes, organization is one of them too. Discipline is the other one. It's true.
And it's funny because you may not notice it at first, but then you kind of go back and you go, wow, look what I attracted. And then there was a time when I was very focused and very disciplined. And I can go back and see that wave of period of where I had people join my team and they were more organized and more disciplined. And then when I was more studying the spiritual laws and in that metaphysical and truly loving and understand spirit science, quantum energy, now I'm attracting those people. So it's quite fascinating to see the amalgam of our life being produced in our own teams, and how we can be a blessing to each other and help each other move past, because we're all the same. We're all one. I've not felt anything or done anything or that you haven't. It's all the same experiences, just expressed in different ways. So, well, that's all I had for tonight, unless you guys had anything else you wanted to add. That was a fun chapter. It was fun and short. And what do we have next week? Next week is chapter 11, and that is...
Oh, obedience.
I thought we kind of just were talking about that.
Yeah, it all comes together. No, I'm good. It was awesome. I understand even more now, and you remind me of something right now, regarding, the business, sacrifice one thing or the other. Now I know where I'm not sacrificing something. I got it right there when you said that. I'm like, boom.
Oh, good. Yeah, I like this. This has just been a revealing chapter and session for me. So I want to thank you so much, Cindy and Angela. You guys always show up no matter what. And that means the world to all of us. I appreciate that, because I know I've had some that I've had to miss for various conflicts in my schedule, and you guys always step up and you always show up. So that concludes our chapter 10. And again, this is Belinda Foster on Working with the Law, chapter 10, the law of sacrifice. And next week, stay tuned. We're going to be covering the law of discipline, chapter 11. We love 11, so that's got to be a good one.
It's going to be a good one. I'm excited. All right. Love you.
Love you guys. Have a great evening.
You too. Bye.